Welcome back to the Mighty Mum podcast. I'm Tegan, your host, and today I'm here with Dani and Sienna Tamati. They are the powerhouse women behind the Resources Hub. They also are here to talk to us about what it's like working as a mother and daughter duo and share with us an exciting announcement that they will be hosting the Resourceful Women seminar in August. So I'm so excited to talk to you both. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
So tell me about yourselves. Where did you grow up? Obviously, Māori last name. And what's your career been up until now?
So I grew up in Perth, went mining when I was 21, working 13 weeks on site and 3 weeks home. And then went back to mining a few years later, met my husband, which is Sienna's dad, in Panawanika, and started our family. Worked on site, and I got involved in recruitment when our eldest son was 6 months old. So that's Jake. He's 26 now. Had Jake and Tane when we were in Panawanika, moved to Paraburdoo, found it really difficult to get work in Paraburdoo. It was really cliquey and just not like Pana. Pana was a closed town. Paraburdoo was just so different. But we moved there for my husband's career. And then had Sienna, and not long after Kale, my youngest, and then went back into recruitment when Kale was 14 months old, and have been involved in recruitment ever since. So we moved to Perth in December 2010, and I set the businesses up in November of 2012.
Amazing. Wow. And Sienna, your overview?
We grew up in Paraburdoo, obviously, up until I was about 6, moved to Perth, and then I was just in school. Once I finished school, I went straight into working with mum for a bit just to kind of have a full-time job straight out of it. And then I went FIFO for a little while and then came back to working with mum and been with her ever since.
I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. And 4 kids.
4 kids.
4 kids, mining mum, rural towns. What was that all like? How did you juggle it all?
It was a bit crazy. So I was a contractor through each and every pregnancy, so I never got maternity leave. So once I stopped, that was it. The money stopped. I was really lucky because my husband was a very hands-on and is a hands-on dad. So juggled Jake and Tane in Panawanika, and then it was our time to sort of shift. There wasn't enough career progression for both Ricky and myself in Pana at the time. So I found this fantastic job for him. I might have applied for it for him. I might have gone through the process for him until he had to go for the interview. And then that's when we relocated. And then, yeah, like I said, I found it really hard to get work. And then Sienna and Kale came along, and I got offered this opportunity to be a recruitment consultant and set up a branch in Para for Integrated Group at the time, which was then bought out by Programmed, and somehow I managed to juggle that. I had 2 kids that loved daycare.
That was me.
The little social butterfly that she and Jake are, and then 2 kids that hated it. So relied on friends and nannies. And when you live in mining towns, you get it too, because you've been there before. Yeah. Your friends become your family. And so if you're at, if there's you need to call on somebody, there's always somebody in town that you can rely on, I suppose. Yeah. So, just managed the juggle with a husband who was working shift work, was also captain of the fire brigade, was also doing a full-time degree when Carol was 10 days old. Like, I think about it now and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You guys are really overachievers. Well, not overachievers, but high achievers, I should say.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was a bit mental, but here we are.
Yeah, so good. And Sienna, how did you find growing up in a rural town?
I loved it, to be honest, because, you knew who your friends were, and like there was always going to be something on after school, and cows in the front lawn and frogs in the toilets and stuff. Like it was cool, and it was just very like a family, I guess, having those people that you knew you could rely on, and you would always just walk to and from your house to school. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So then you relocated to Perth, and, you went through the process, set up your business. Yeah. Talk us through that next step of your life.
Well, that was around the time that my husband had gone fly in, fly out. So we were living in our shed, or our shouse, we used to call it, while the house was being built. And I was working for an international recruitment company, and I just wasn't satisfied. It was just, I was working in a big beast, and I wanted my consulting companies to be more than just transactional recruitment. I wanted it to be, a community where people can ask questions and get answers and can call and text and message you and all that sort of stuff. So the Resources Hub and Resourceful Women were born in November 2012, about 2 weeks before the downturn hit. And then I was on another roller coaster ride. So managed to come out the other side of that and juggled, obviously, the kids. Didn't need nannies anymore because I was pretty much working from home. And then, you know, it's been a really interesting journey because I've kind of worked from home and then worked out of home and then come back to home. And then, you know, eventually we found our own HQ in Midland, and then recently we've just moved to Ascot, which is super exciting. And that's probably where we'll stay now for the entirety.
Yeah, so good. And Sienna, you mentioned you went straight from school into the recruitment industry, and then you went and got boots on ground experience. Yeah. How do you think that helped you in your now current recruiter role?
I think it just kind of helps me more to know about like hours and days and rosters and stuff like that. And also to kind of know a little bit more about the mining industry. Like it's one thing to kind of watch videos online, but it's another thing to actually go out there and go see the plants and things like that and meet the people there too and like their whole ideas on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the Resourceful Women is a part of the Resources Hub. What do you guys specialise in and what are you working towards?
It's actually a separate consulting business, licensed recruitment agency. It's been sitting in the wings for ages. I keep talking about this seminar that I was going to hold, and in February, Sienna just cracked it and said, Mum, just hand it over. Just hand it over. It's all mine now. Yeah. I'm just going to run with it, and I'll tell you when I need your involvement. So she pretty much has, apart from some of the guest speakers that I've, reached out to that I've known personally through the industry. So it's the first of its kind. It's for semi-skilled, blue-collar, those women wanting to enter the industry, come back to industry. And also there's a whole lot in our, Women in Mining and Resources community of 40,000 women online that want to transition within industry, and they just want to hear real life, scenarios and stories. And I'm really fortunate that I've got such a wide range and diverse group of girlfriends in particular that are diesel fitters, and then I've got friends that are metallurgists and mining engineers. So they give a whole different perspective. But, as you know, primarily our industry is made up of, the majority is made up of these semi-skilled blue-collar type roles. So this gives these women an opportunity to really understand, what they're going to get into if they decide that that's a career pathway for them.
I love it. Yeah. And who are some of the, can we release guest speakers we don't have to talk about the guest speakers, but more what we would expect to see or what you guys are wanting to achieve that when they walk away from that seminar, they take with them. So
it's basically kind of aimed, towards the women that don't really have a big idea on the whole mining and resources industry. So the panels are made up of a ton of different ways that you can kind of get your foot in the door or learn a little bit more. So we have our entry level to leadership. So the women that start in utilities, but then they work their way up. So they've got that foot in the door and they're just making those connections. We have our career, mechanics and trades careers people. Our office to operations. So the women that are the backbones of all of it that do all the laws and the finances and things like that, because that's another way to kind of get in there. Yeah. But I think our best one is our partners in progress. So that's men that are CEOs and vice presidents of mining companies and stuff, but they're advocating for more women because you kind of want to hear from the men that are actually using their voice too, because it helps so much within the industry by having someone to back you up.
Definitely. Sponsors are, such a key part in diversity. So, Danni, you were the president of the WA Mining Club. Amazing.
Thanks.
How long were you the president, and how did you find it being a female leader in obviously quite a male-dominated industry?
Yeah, so I've been on the committee now for just over 4 years and just got voted on for another 3 years and was the president for the last year. So the presidency is only 1 year term, and then the committee basically vote. It was a wild ride. It was I suppose coming from when I first started on the committee, I was involved in scholarships because clearly career pathways is, one of my passions. So I've sort of worked my way across different committees and portfolios during that time, and we are equal male-female ratio and have been for quite some time across a few different of the committees now. But it's, I don't know, there wasn't really a difference for me, I suppose, because I've always worked in a male-dominated industry. It's just a different type of position, you know. It's a voluntary role, obviously, but there was a lot of travel involved, a lot of meetings, some pretty amazing people in the industry that work on the other side of the fence, like, you know, attending the MCA in Canberra last year was an amazing eye-opener. I got to go to, you know, some incredible events over there and witness and talk to some and be introduced to some really fantastic people. So I suppose in a roundabout way it's broadened my network. Well, the WA Mining Club has anyhow, like most clubs do. You know, I'm also a member of the Energy Club. I attend the Gold Industry Group events, and, you know, in WA, we do mining events really well, and we have quite a few, and it's often the same or similar people that you see at these events, which, you know, we've got Diggers and Dealers coming up, which is one of my favourite weeks of the year.
Oh, so good. I want to go one time.
Oh, you have to.
I'm so scared.
Oh, yeah.
Sienna's going for the first time this year.
Oh, gosh. How many days is it? It's like 3 days,
So
isn't
you
it?
sort of bump in on a Sunday and you drive out on a Thursday if you're okay. Otherwise, you bump out on a Friday. But
Yeah.
it's a full week. But
Oh,
it's,
my gosh,
it's
so
just
fun.
It's just a fantastic vibe, and you know, years ago you used to get a lot of people from the East Coast fly in, whereas during COVID, obviously that was not available to the East Coasters. So it was a real select few West Australians that just used to, you know, get together and mingle and, you know, chat and everything. So yeah, so working in a male-dominated industry, I can't imagine myself working anywhere else.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I often refer to the fact that I work across two different industries because I work careers, recruitment, that side of things, but then I primarily focus on the mining and resources sector, which is what I love.
Yeah.
And where I physically had boots on ground too when I was, you know, pregnant with the kids and working contract work out on site. So I worked across different areas like MEM and fixed plant and, you know, emergency services and all those types of things when the kids were little and, you know, probably about to pop out another one.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And Sienna, what's it like having such a mentor as a mum? You know, somebody that's worked so long in the industry, lots of different roles, obviously high up there in the presidency. It's like, you know, must be quite amazing to work with your mum as well now.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I mean, when we first started, we were trying to find the difference between like that co-worker mother-daughter relationship thing. But then I think after working FIFO and coming back and not really seeing them for so long and then kind of seeing how much she actually does now that I have a grasp on the whole mining and resource industry, I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then just like even seeing her up there and making speeches and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's my mum.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool.
I think it's funny as well because when you live in WA, like everyone knows about mining and resources and stuff. And it's almost like I've got a famous mum. Like if you live in WA, like to me, my mum's famous. She knows everyone and anyone. And then like a lot of other people, I'm just like, I think people in WA will think that my mum's famous the way I think she is.
I don't think I'm famous.
Yeah, I think she just knows a lot of people. But no, it is pretty cool watching her get up there. And it was cool as well, kind of working with her straight from school. That was like my first real world experience because when you're in school, you're obviously in this little bubble, you know, all you really care about is your English homework.
Or not attending school.
But then, I think coming out into the real world and seeing what she does and kind of gaining that work ethic as well and her like letting me take over in some parts was really good as well because I had her to back me up the whole way so that like she would be like, yep, go do what you want. And if it fails, like I'll come along and I'll help you out and I'll just kind of show you what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, which was cool.
Because in business, you're always going to have a fail, right? It's just part of the course, but you don't know what you don't know. You know, I set up a business because I was really good at recruitment and I was really good at talking to people and I could make the magic happen. But I didn't realise the nuances of owning a business, whereas now I do. And now I'm trying to sort of, you know, I suppose, hand that information over to Sienna. So with, with the seminar, it's like, well, this is how many seats we need to sell, and this is, so there's that element of it, but it's also, well, this is the reason that we're doing it. The reason behind us doing this seminar is we want to be that voice for those that just simply don't have an avenue in which to ask questions, and that's where this community on Facebook, Women in Mining and Resources Australia, started 14 years ago. We've got 40,000 women. We don't let men in, and when I do say that to men, they kind of look at me and I go, well, it's a safe space. It's a safe space for women to ask whatever questions they want. It's completely monitored. And it's, it is hard work in itself because you've got so many different personalities and that sort of thing, like you do in business, like you do in an office, like you do on a mine site, So it's a lot to juggle, but take my hat off. She's like blossomed since she's come back to the office in more ways than one. And and I'm just so proud of her. And sometimes I hear her on the phone and think, oh my God, she sounds like me.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
No, it is pretty cool.
Oh, I love it. Now let's talk recruitment. Say we're talking to somebody that wants to get into the industry at the moment, one of the listeners, they're thinking about making a change. What are some of those entry-level roles that you guys might be recruiting for at the moment that would be suitable?
Do you want to start?
No, that's okay. You go.
Okay. Well, often people come to us for utility work. That's the easy one, right? And that's where both Sienna and I started. I started working a wet mess, which is a bar.
Yes.
On a mine site in the Pilbara called Bamboo Creek near Marble Bar for 13 weeks, and I was stuck on site for 13 weeks, couldn't leave. So that's obviously an entry level. The sentry roles are easy. Trades assistants are generally easy as well. They're not probably the primary roles that we recruit for. We kind of specialise, and by default, our business is mainly permanent recruitment on behalf of companies, not necessarily labour hire. There's a lot of labour hire companies out there, and they do a great job, and they have that sewn up. Yes, we do labour hire and contract and fixed term contract work, but most of our work could be sales. Like we just got a job in yesterday from Hong Kong, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, cool.
So I spoke to a gentleman yesterday, and they're setting up a business here in Australia, and he came referred to me, and he wants us to find him a salesperson to set that business up. So I love working with companies that are coming in from the ground up, or that need, that you can see that shift is happening within their organisation, and they just need a partner to partner with to be able to get to the next stage. So a lot of those roles with diesel fitters, drillers, offsiders. Well, diesel fitters obviously aren't entry level, but drillers, offsiders generally are. So, but most of our work would be that they've already got that opportunity, or they've had that qualification or whatever, most of it. But then we're also a careers consulting firm, so we will guide people on what career pathways they're most suited to. Yeah. And we use a behavioural based assessment tool to help them with that.
So, that's so good.
Yeah, so it gives them complete career clarity, and them not going, oh my God, I think I want to be, I don't know, chemical
because that's the
engineer.
thing, everyone just sees something on social media or something. And I was just thinking then, as you were saying, like what wet mess meant, I was like, you should do something around slang words. I mean, like write all the words.
Someone posted in my group today, chat, and she's like, can anybody send me all their slang words from mining? Because my dad's got Alzheimer's, and he used to work in mining, and I want him to remember all these slang words.
Oh, that's so funny.
She's going to set up a crossword for him to remember all these slang words. I thought, what a gorgeous idea.
Yeah, that's so nice. And okay, if you were going to go back on the tools right now, what do you think one of the roles you would like to go back into?
Oh, you start.
I would want to go back as an ESO.
Oh, ESO.
Yeah, because when I was working up on site, I spent a lot of time with the ESOs because my dad was the supervisor. So they were like my little besties. And even for like an hour, I'd like go there and see all of their training and stuff. So I think if I was there for like a whole day, it would be really cool.
Yeah,
and like
go out and do the drills.
Yeah,
rescues.
Yeah, so I'd probably want to go back as an ESO for a day.
Cool.
I don't know what I would like to go back as. I mean, I miss site. I love, getting the opportunity to go up to client sites. Last year I went up to the goldfields, and I couldn't wait to stick the steel caps on. And
so good.
I wasn't so impressed about the bed and the and the donger, but because I could hear old mate next door snoring, and I forgot what that felt like. So long. But I think, my passion has always been connecting people, no matter what area. And I think, somewhere within that realm is probably where I'd like to stay.
Yeah.
I did go for my HR license and I went for a medical, and that's when I found out I was pregnant with our eldest. So the dump truck driver job never went to fruition because.
Oh my gosh.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
So I ended up going onto site in admin, and that's kind of where my career pathway transitioned because, I couldn't drive a dump truck even though I was next in line because I was pregnant with Jake. So it's funny how these little things are sent to try us and then, change our journey for potentially the better.
Yeah,
otherwise I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you.
I know. So good. I got my HR too, and that was actually one of my favourite jobs.
Yeah.
Just driving around in the tipper truck, you had the music blasting, like you checked in, you checked out, you had smoko with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I miss those days when things went so crazy and you had so much responsibility.
I do miss
all you
site
cared about was going to Bali.
Yeah. But like even up on site, on days, because I was 2 on 1, so on weeks where dad wasn't there, like some of my best friends were 40-year-old men, and I was like, this is so, like, you could never kind of go back home and tell, like, I could never tell my friends about it because they'd be like, that's really weird. But it's like when you're up there, they're like your site dads.
I know.
I had a dad at site, so it was kind of a little bit.
You had the best of all worlds because you had a site mum as well.
Yeah.
And she's guest speaker at this.
Yeah,
So
she's
good.
really cool. Yeah.
And all of your kids are now in mining too.
Yeah.
What do your other kids do?
So Jake and Tane we put into a school that had a trade centre attached, and Jake did boilermaking, Tane did carpentry. Jake's now a boilermaker 8 and 6 to Port Hedland.
Oh, cool.
With Progress Rail, and Tane was scaffolding, which he loved, and recently he's gone underground, but I'm pretty certain he's going to go back scaffolding because he wants a Maori scaffolder or a Maori scaffolder. And then obviously Sienna went mining last year and then came back to the business, and Kale, our youngest, he just finished his diesel fitting apprenticeship. They fast-tracked him in December last year. In 3 years, he's onto it. That kid has always wanted to be, involved in mechanical work. And he's just finishing up this Thursday with the company that he was fortunate enough to get that apprenticeship with and work with. And now he's going FIFO to Brisbane and Sydney to set up a workshop over there for another crane company.
Oh my gosh,
So he
that's
specialises
amazing.
in mobile cranes, and he loves it. He puts in the hard yards too. And recently we had my nephew and his 2 mates that moved over from New Zealand live with us. So there was 9 of us in the house up until a few weeks ago, and they've gone to work underground. And the other one's a driller's offsider. So 2 have gone underground, and the other one's driller's offsider, and was working with Sienna's partner actually.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, it's just the whole family of FIFO.
That actually made me think of something like your husband came over from New Zealand, and I obviously have a lot of Kiwis that reach out to me too, but what have you guys been able to achieve by coming into the mining industry?
Oh, so much. I mean, if it wasn't like when we met, we had nothing, we live on a beautiful property in Parkerville. We've got 4 gorgeous children.
Yeah.
They're all working. I mean, it's not always the monetary side of things and the, how many toys you have. We don't have that many toys. In fact, we don't probably have any toys because my husband's not one to want toys. But we've just worked really bloody hard. And interestingly enough, this is his last week full-time with BHP, and he goes job share from the 1st of July. So he'll be working 8 days on and having 20 days off.
Oh, wow.
So there's lots of travel involved for the 2 of us because, for 13 years, you don't sleep when you have your own business. It's like having a baby, but it's on, 24/7 forever.
Yeah.
Can't hand that one over often to people. So the plan is for him and I to spend more time traveling and, just enjoying these years before all of a sudden we've got grandchildren and then that's, and that's going to be a whole other, chapter.
Yeah. Oh, but how nice is that, like being able to have set your family up, well educated, have really good jobs, and then, not talking about age, but at an early age, be able to be in that, like, not semi-retirement, but pretty much he's got 20 days on. How good is
the
that?
amount of people that are reaching out to me lately and going, when are you getting on a plane next? Because you seem to be, on a plane a lot. Like you're in Melbourne last month, you were Fiji last month, and I'm going to Broome next month, and then we've just booked Vietnam. Oh my God,
So cool.
But it's our time because for so long I mean, when the kids grew up in the Pilbara, we were on holidays all the time because you have to escape that, that, you know, little mining town vibe because sometimes it can be overwhelming. So we'd go to Coral Bay.
We go to Karajini all the time, and it's like looking back on it and you see all these TikToks of like, oh, you guys should go to Karajini. And I'm like, I used to just go there on the weekends for fun. Like, it's so weird. Yeah, but it was cool.
Yeah, it was an
Exmouth. Oh no, where did we go?
Yeah, Exmouth and
Shark Bay.
Shark Bay
all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, so you know, beautiful memories, and we wouldn't have been able to do that had we not lived residential. But when it was time for them to go to school, then I didn't want to send them to boarding school because that was an option, or to send them to Tom Price for 80 k's on a bus was not going to happen. And, you know, we'd bought our block of land about 18 months earlier, always wanted to build the dream home, so we just bit the bullet and moved down to Perth and haven't really looked back, I suppose. You know, we've still kept our toe in the water with mining, clearly, because Ricky then left Rio Tinto and worked for BHP and has done for the last sort of 13 years, I think it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so, you know, for him, he's going to, I don't know, just slow down a notch, but still be involved in what he loves, because he started life as a chef and now he's got a degree in emergency management and, you know, looks after all the sites, doing all the training for WAO.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Amazing. And before we wrap up today, what is your one piece of advice for the listeners?
Probably don't read into everything that you see online, especially TikTok and stuff, where they're like, oh, you can make $2,000 a week as a cleaner. Not realistic. I think go out there and do like proper research, come to events like the one that we're putting on, where you're actually hearing real stories instead of just videos of people that are trying to lure you into the industry, because it's not an easy industry to be a part of. Especially when you're missing out on events and things like that. Like, you want to make sure that you actually have all of the knowledge and you don't get kind of stuck in this area where it's like, oh yeah, but apparently I'm going to make $2,000 a week. And then you get there and you realize it's hot, it's hard work, it's long days, and you're not actually making $2,000 a week. So kind of one piece of advice would be to like actually do your research on the roles and things like that.
Yeah. And if you don't know, like you guys offer that career consultation, which is like such a key thing. People don't know what they don't know and don't know what they are suited for. So, and it's also a better way if they book a consultation with you guys to fast track those applications instead of applying for 200 roles and getting nothing back. Yeah. If they're specifically wanting to chase something, it's better to do that.
And especially because within the industry, it's a lot of like who you know, not kind of what you know. I mean, I got fast tracked because my dad was working there. And like when I started working there, I had only waited 3 weeks to get up on site or something. And I knew some people that had been on the wait list for 3 months. And they were like, well, how'd you get up here so early? I was like, well, because my dad works here, he just put in a good word for me. But a lot of people don't have that person, but it's good to have someone like me and Mum who we go to these events, we're networking with these people that run these companies. It's good to kind of outsource to people like me and Mum who can make that connection for you so that you're not on the wait list for ages.
Yeah, exactly.
And that you're getting real life advice.
And
it's
support.
It's not like we set up a consulting firm and going, oh yeah, we're going to just hang out in the mining resources space because hey, that's where the money's at. It's actually about that real world experience. Us, and I think that's pretty important. I suppose my piece of advice would be, you might start off, entry level, but that's not to say that your career journey can't skyrocket. And you need to put in the effort and the energy and again, like Sienna suggested, do your research and, pick up those qualifications and those certs or whatever it is that you might need. But mining has a plethora of different opportunities out there for people to consider. It's not just about driving a dump truck and making, like kids told me last year, and IMARC making big rocks into small rocks on a crusher. I was like, so what else do we do? Oh, that's about all. We just drive a truck and that's it, sort of thing. So I think there is, there's like Sienna suggested before, there's opportunities in legal, there's opportunities in human resources, there's opportunities in organisational development.
Marketing,
Yeah.
sales,
geology,
as you said.
sales,
Yeah.
you know, all these different positions that align with other industries.
Yeah.
You might have fantastic experience in a different industry, and it's really those soft skills that you need to take with you to break into mining. But, you know, for I suppose the blue collar and skilled trades type roles that we're sort of targeting for our seminar, they're the cheaper side of the coin, as in the certs that you have to sort of obtain in order to be front of mind for recruiters and hiring managers isn't that as expensive, and it's not going to take you 4 years of a uni degree.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said. Get your foot in, do the work, and your career can progress anywhere.
And if it's not for you, it's not for you. You gave it a red hot go.
Yeah.
You know, one of our family members, partners, he's just gone underground, and he's probably not going to hang out for too much longer because he's just realised that he misses his family and he misses his, you know, parties and social life and all that sort of stuff. But he's given it a red hot go. And if it's not for you, it's not for you, you know. And I think we're really, really fortunate in this day and age too. We have so many resources that we didn't have. When I was, you know, 21 and stuck on a mine site with 109 men and 11 women and 2 kids, you know, I had pretty much not very much, and one phone box to, you know, between all of us on site to call on a Sunday that I had to ring my family. That was pretty much it, you know.
Oh my gosh,
it was really archaic and really, old school. But now we've got online resources. We've got, you know, FIFO families project that Vicky Pellos just launched for resources for both companies and for families. We've got FIFO Focus that my gorgeous friend Sandra Lamb's been running for a long time. You know, there's a lot of companies out there that do really good things in this space that can offer you, your partner, your children, your parents, whoever it might be, or your workforce support.
Yeah. So good. And thank you so much for coming along and talking to me today. I'm really excited for your seminar.
Thanks.
And to see how you guys both blossom up on that stage. So,
Yeah.
Are you actually talking on the stage?
Oh, probably not. Maybe I'll get up and introduce people, but I doubt it. I think I might just shake people's hands and be like, hey, thanks so much for coming.
No, I think you're going to have a little 5-minute slot.
We'll see, I guess. Just going to have to buy your tickets and come along.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
For having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you like this episode, please like and subscribe and share with a friend.